Hey guys, I want to show you today how I use the Pens Plus finish from Doctor's Woodshop to finish wooden pens. I have gotten a lot of questions about my method because it's a little bit different than some other people's approaches, and so I want to show you today how I do that. So I have a black walnut pen blank here that's been turned to size, and I'm just finished sanding it with 220 grit. And after I sand it on the lathe in a traditional way, I usually sand along with the grain. And then what I'll do is I'll wipe the dust off side to side, but I won't blow it out because I want to leave the dust in the pores, if there's any, to help fill them in. Pens Plus finish will not build. It will not fill in pores or open grain by itself, and so that's why I do this process of using Pens Plus through the sanding process to help to make the surface completely level and filled so that the finish will apply well over top of it. So the 220 sanding has been completed. I'm going to take just a drop of Pens Plus on a paper towel, and the lathe's going about 700-800 RPMs, and I just go over it here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue up through a few grits of sandpaper with that same process. Now I'm going to take 320 grit, you'll see that it does kind of clog up the sandpaper, so you have to keep that in mind. The upside is that after the first grit, there's really not a lot of dust because it kind of gets mixed with the Pens Plus to fill that in. And then as before, I'm going to go and sand the long way as well. And with each successive grit, it should be built up and the pores filled in more and more. So I'm going to come back again with another drop of Pens Plus. And that's starting to fill in pretty nicely. I'll come back with 400 grit. And again, sand the long way. And after a while, it becomes pretty pointless to go up to a really high grit because we're just starting to polish the finish that's already on there after a while. So that feels really nice and soft and smooth now. We'll come back with a drop of Pens Plus one more time. I'll turn up the speed a little bit here. I'm at about 1500. Let's take a look. That is looking pretty good. I'm actually really happy with that. One product that I like to use is the Triple E Paste Wax that you'll see, and I'll put a link to a couple places that sell it here in the description. This works good on bare wood. It also works good as a preparation to a friction polish like the Pens Plus. I'm sure you can get away with not using it. It's just a product that I like. Let's take a look. Okay, nice solid surface there. And that's really the key to finishing, or one of the keys to finishing, is having a nice solid surface to apply your finish on, whether it's Pens Plus like this or whether it's CA or anything else. You want to have a nice solid finish to your material itself before you start to really try to get a finish polished up on there. So I like to apply the Pens Plus at about 1,000 RPMs. I think the finish works at probably whatever speed you'd want to have it at, but that's what I like. So I just go back and forth. Make sure you get the ends because they sometimes can get left out and they don't get as shiny as the middle if you don't really go through right. And then when I'm applying this, I like to turn the speed up a little bit. Nice thing about having a lathe with variable speed. And I like to go till I can start to feel the heat coming through just a little bit. This is a friction polish, and so it's important to get the friction and the heat built up to get it to really set the way that it's supposed to. We'll come back with the second coat. And I can start to feel the heat coming through, so that's good. We'll let it spin for a few seconds. Then I'm going to come back without any more Pens Plus and kind of buff it a little bit. Now, how many coats to put on is a good question. And I've experimented with many different, from just 1 or 2 to 10 or more. And you really kind of have to experiment and find what you like. I like about 6 coats. And I do usually 2 forward, 2 in reverse if your lathe has reverse. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. It works just fine, just forward. And so I'm going to go ahead now and flip it into reverse. And then I'm going to put a couple coats on the same way I did forward. 2 coats and then buff it out. So I just finished buffing out my second coat in reverse. Now I'm going to go back forward and do my last 2 coats. That's going to be 6 coats total of the Pens Plus finish after building up the base with the sandpaper. And I'm on my last coat here. And then I'm going to come back one last time with the paper towel with no finish on it and buff it out. One of the questions that people ask a lot of times is this finish like CA? Does it come out like a CA finish? And the answer for me is no. I think it's a great finish. It has a soft feel to it, but it's more of a semi-gloss shine, where CA can really be a deep gloss. You have a hard time getting Pens Plus like that. It tends to dull a little bit once you take it off the lathe from its shiniest, but then I found that it holds up pretty well. And that's the second question people ask a lot: how durable is this finish? I've had a lot of them in my own use and out in the field, and they work pretty well. The finish holds up well, I think better than any other friction finish out there. So it's not CA, but it's a great alternative. It's a nice, soft feeling finish, and I hope you'll give it a try. If you're inclined to, I appreciate you watching. Please like and subscribe, and have a great day.